Hello and welcome to our third session in our series on self-hypnosis. In this session, we're going to focus on confidence. So you can imagine the word confidence big and bold in your mind throughout this video presentation and as you enter into both the PDF script as well as the downloadable MP3, which are going to reinforce your ability to develop confidence. It's been said that confidence comes from not always being right, but from not fearing being wrong. The heart of self-confidence is often overcoming fear. In self-hypnosis, we can use tools like mindfulness training and taking control over our physical experiences with ideas like relaxation training or autogenic training from lesson number 1 to really help us to conquer these fears. A couple of years ago, there was a great internet meme floating around. Some of you probably saw it. It was an old lady sitting in her wheelchair, and she was moving her hands in a certain position so that the shadow that was cast upon the wall was that of a ballerina. The caption said, "Self-confidence is nothing more than the memory of success." To a large extent, I actually agree with this. Self-confidence is often not something we lack, but something we need to recall and develop. Chances are pretty good you've felt confident in some areas of life, even if in others you've had self-doubt or a difficult time. Being able to bring those memories of your previous experiences with confidence, times where you felt good about yourself and had high levels of self-esteem, to new scenarios and situations is often the key to success. Self-hypnosis is a great tool for being able to associate those prior associations into new associations. And the MP3 that I've provided is going to help you do that, along with the written script that I've provided that you can use in self-hypnosis as well. Well, what is confidence and why is it so important to us? Well, confidence, a simple definition, is that inner resource state that allows us to rely and trust ourselves. It is a state of both emotional as well as physical trust in our own abilities and in our own decisions. It's really important because confidence helps us to do a number of different things. It helps us to navigate relationships without fear. This allows a person to be assertive in their marriage or in other significant relationships. Confidence helps us to engage in business without having limiting beliefs. This allows us to interview for a better job or to take a risk that's going to reward us in the business that we operate ourselves. Confidence helps us to accomplish our physical goals, things like sports performance or stepping in on January 1st to a new life script and fulfilling our New Year's resolutions or other goals that we've established for ourselves. Confidence is important because it helps us to develop belief in ourselves and our ability to see things through to their conclusion. This is why people are successful with smoking cessation or successful with weight loss. And confidence, of course, helps us move into many other resource states like gratitude, encouragement, appreciation, and other useful resource states. One of the most interesting things about confidence is that it actually changes our neurochemistry, and it helps us to experience success and happiness in the long run. In fact, near the end of this session today, I'm going to focus a little bit on neuroscience of confidence. It's really pretty interesting how, from an evolutionary perspective, we've almost limited ourselves and our ability to experience confidence. But with some simple exercises that are ideal for self-hypnosis, we can move into a state of greater confidence, even if evolutionary psychology isn't really helping us. Now, before I explain ideas related to neurochemistry, I want to share with you a story that can be found in several different forms. It's one of those anonymous stories that floats around. I've seen it in a number of different places. You might have even heard it before, but it's a really good story to help you see the relationship between confidence and other emotions. The story goes as follows. Confidence and self-esteem were best friends. They went everywhere together. If confidence bought a new dress, self-esteem bought one just like it. They were very close. One day, a new kid came to their school. His name was Peer Pressure, and he had a friend called Hateful Words. They decided to give Confidence a hard time, and they constantly teased her. They forced her to do terrible things. It was so terrible that Confidence lost self-esteem. When self-esteem wanted to start dance class, Confidence said they wouldn't be any good. Then one day, Peer Pressure introduced Confidence to doubt. He wanted to ruin Confidence, but Peer Pressure said he couldn't yet. Self-esteem couldn't understand what was wrong with Confidence. Confidence now hung around with depression, low self-esteem, and overeating. The girls were friends of Peer Pressure. Self-esteem no longer had any friends. She no longer felt good about herself, so she went to see her mentor. We'll call him Mr. Goodwords. Mr. Goodwords told her how to talk to Confidence. He introduced her to his daughter, Encouragement. Encouragement and self-esteem went to find Confidence. Self-esteem hoped it wasn't too late. The girls found Confidence in a stupor. She was no longer vibrant, happy young girl. There were dark circles under her eyes. She'd gained so much weight from eating that she couldn't move. Encouragement gasped, and self-esteem cried. She begged Encouragement to do something. Encouragement began to hug Confidence. She kissed her, loved her. She told her that she was a beautiful young lady who had a lot going for her. Encouragement held Confidence so tightly that self-esteem thought she would smother her. Confidence began to cry. As she cried, she seemed to lose weight. Then a bright light suddenly glowed from Confidence, and she began to smile. Peer Pressure and his friends didn't like what Encouragement was doing and tried to attack her. They hit her and pulled at her, but they could not pull her away from Confidence. Then Confidence began to speak. Get away from me, Peer Pressure. Take your friends and go. You no longer have any power over me. Confidence was now a glowing light. She and her friends made sure that Peer Pressure and his gang never bothered anyone in their town again. If you feel that Encouragement is not your friend, then try to find encouragement in yourself. Self-esteem and self-confidence will follow. Now, this story, of course, tells us that encouragement is one of those keys to developing confidence. This is exactly why I love self-affirmations. I practice self-affirmations in my own life. I teach them to the clients that I work with. Affirmations are a form of self-hypnosis. One of my favorite things to do is to take a dry erase marker, and on the bathroom mirror, I write affirmations to myself. The reason why is this is the first thing I see in the morning, and it's often the last thing I see at the end of the day. And when you see an affirmation on the marker board written in your own handwriting, or on the bathroom mirror written in your own handwriting, even if you're not sure if it's true, you'll test it to find out if it is. Encouragement is far more powerful at producing change than self-criticism. Many religions, cults, even some self-help groups teach us that the key to enlightenment is through knowing our sins, uncovering our mistakes, and defining ourselves in negative ways. For most of us, since these are powerful social constructs, we really automatically take this vantage point when facing a problem, a trial, or a difficulty. But neuroscience shows us that encouragement, essentially being self-compassion towards oneself, is far more effective at producing happiness and success than critical self-evaluation. A lot of people ask me, I've always struggled with self-confidence. To some extent, this is because our bodies are actually wired by evolution to protect us, oddly enough, from ourselves. So we have two things going on here that are really powerful forces in struggling with confidence, and that is a cultural vantage point that seems to favor self-doubt and self-criticism, and a biological mechanism, cognitive neuroscience, that seems to reinforce self-doubt. The reason from a biological perspective is interesting. We have a number of different neurosystems or cognitive systems. We all have a drive system. This propels us towards things that we would do in life, whether that's a relationship or whether it's a task or whether it's becoming involved in something or taking on a project or even our jobs. And this drive system, to a large extent, relies on the brain chemical called dopamine. This is in contrast with what we're going to call our threat protection system. You've probably heard of fight or flight. That's what the threat protection system does. And this can be stimulated. We can stimulate within ourselves the fight or flight response by catastrophization or negative self-talk when we really focus on what's wrong. The threat protection system is fueled by what's referred to as neuroadrenaline. So we have dopamine with our drive system, and we have neuroadrenaline with our threat protection system. And these two cognitive systems are actually activated, according to the research, by self-doubt. And what happens then is they come into play to protect us from ourselves. And they flood our brains with dopamine and neuroadrenaline, producing self-protection, but self-protection from something that really can't harm us, and that is ourselves. For most of us, these systems are dominant and they're automatic. They were designed originally to protect us from a tiger in the wild, but in many ways, these systems have turned on themselves and they falsely protect us from ourselves. And the reason why is that this is the part of the old brain, the amygdala or the limbic system you may have heard about, and they've been ingrained as really automatic responses. The good news here, though, is that we are not bound by cultural norms or religious convention, which would demand that we look into ourselves to discover what is wrong. We can discard old ideas, in many cases, through self-affirmation and other methods of self-hypnosis. From a biological perspective, we can overcome the drive system and the threat protection system, which are protecting us from ourselves, by developing that third system. That third system is the caregiving system. This floods our brain with chemicals that are different than neuroadrenaline and different than dopamine. This floods our brain with pleasure-producing oxytocin and floods our mind with intrinsic opiates that our brains produce. This is the system, the caregiving system, that you see when a mother cares for a child, or when you find a stray puppy that's wounded, or when a mouse discovers a lion that has a thorn in its paw. It's the system that cares for others. It produces empathy, and it allows us to care for others. The good news, though, is that we can use that. We can develop that to begin to care for ourselves. One of the things I love about mindfulness and self-hypnosis is that we can learn to be non-judgmental. Have you ever had any thoughts which you've followed and thought to yourself, that's a bad thought, I shouldn't have that thought? Thoughts are just thoughts. We think all kinds of things all day long. We don't have to judge our thoughts. We can just recognize that a thought is a thought without becoming enmeshed in that thought. Imagine the power in creating confidence by making this system, the caregiving system, dominant. And you can. You can do this by practicing self-compassion. You can ask yourself each and every day, how can I accept myself today? That is a great place to begin. And I think techniques of self-hypnosis and of meditation can actually be real useful here as well. Now, of course, I've provided you with an MP3, and I've provided you with a written script that you can actually use in your self-hypnosis practice. But I'm going to take a couple of minutes here, since I have your attention, to help you really focus on a way of cultivating compassion towards yourself. So as you sit in the chair listening to this video, go ahead and sit in a posture that is confident, that's erect, in a posture that allows you to breathe and to really feel the oxygen being drawn into your lungs and feeling the breath being utilized. And go ahead and close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, scan any part of the body that is carrying the tension of the day and let that tension go. And continue to breathe in and breathe out. You don't have to speed up or slow down the breath. There's not really a right or a wrong way to do this. What you're doing right now is simply taking some time for yourself to practice directing compassion towards yourself. And as you breathe in and breathe out, recall a time or place where you felt compassionate towards another person, or maybe even an animal, or maybe even a plant or something in the world around you. I've seen beautiful flowers and have felt a sense of compassion towards their beauty. I'm a dog lover and I have a dog. And my dog is, like me, getting a little bit old. My dog is having a harder time walking, especially in the cold weather. And I feel a sense of compassion towards my dog. There are people in my world who I feel compassion towards. People that are important to me, and even strangers who I sometimes see. You have certainly felt compassion towards others as well, at various times and at various levels in your own life. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you can breathe in compassion and breathe out compassion. And recall a time where you felt compassion towards another person. What was that compassion like? It was non-judgmental, wasn't it? It was predicated on empathy, wasn't it? It was non-shaming, wasn't it? It was accepting, wasn't it? All of those things which you've been able to manifest towards others are things that you can manifest towards yourself. And so, as easily as you can recall a time where you were compassionate towards others, take a moment now to breathe in and breathe out compassion and be compassionate towards yourself. Accepting, kind, loving, non-judgmental, even forgiving. Feels pretty good to direct compassion towards yourself, doesn't it? And I'll give you another moment to simply breathe in that compassion and direct it towards yourself, something we easily do towards others, but have a need to experience ourselves. Enjoying the state that you've created through taking a moment to meditate or focus on the idea of self-compassion. With the next breath, feel the breath fill your lungs. Feel the oxygen from that breath reaching every cell of the body. And in a moment, when I count to 3, open the eyes, feeling fantastic and ready for the rest of the day. 1. Noticing that breath. 2. Breathing in a sense of confidence. And 3. Stretching out any muscles that need to be stretched. Opening the eyes, feeling absolutely fantastic. Now I've provided for you 2 assignments between now and our next session. These focus on helping you to build confidence. One is a short MP3 to help you through a process of creating confidence in any situation. And the other is a printed script with self-affirmations that you can utilize as a guide in self-hypnosis. You can combine it with the techniques of session number 1, even the ability to create a resource state that we covered in session number 2. And now you can direct it towards yourself to experience confidence in every aspect of life.